we're in Miami at NADA with my bro, Javier Perez. What's up, Javi?
What's up, Natalie White? How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. Just done setting up for the NADA Art Fair, which happens every year in conjunction with our Basel Miami Beach. And we're ready to do this.
How did you get into being the art dealer that you are today? Give me a little history about your background.
So I was an attorney. I was practicing law and collecting quite actively. And even when I was in law school and in college and in high school, I was already collecting contemporary art, art brut, focusing on schizophrenic art from Europe and America, pre-Columbian and African art. My grandparents collected modern art, so from a pretty early age, I was exposed to mainly the Spanish artists that most of us know. So I come from that kind of background. You know, when I was practicing law, I was kind of feeling burnt out with it. I saw the Eva Hesse show at San Francisco Museum of Modern Art, and it was a trigger for me. I walked out of the museum, I called my law firm, I had just made partner, I quit the law firm, they wanted to sue me, I said screw you, I started my gallery, and then that's what I did.
Yeah, how do you sue a lawyer?
Good luck.
Exactly. So, what was the first show that you had in your gallery, and where was your first gallery?
Well, I started the gallery initially in San Francisco. I had this brilliant idea that San Francisco should have better contemporary galleries because it's an interesting city. I mean, America is an interesting country when it comes to contemporary art because really it's New York and LA and that's it. You know, and then there's Chicago, Miami. Things happen like this time of year. But I really loved San Francisco. That's where my main law practice was. And actually, the first artist I showed is a woman called Bernie Searle, who is a South African artist who had just been in the Venice Biennale that year. I had a bit of a focus on African art. But the early shows that I did were pretty much like what they are now, or they have been. Assume Vivid Astrofocus, Bruce LaBruce, Terrence Coe, I showed Dan Colin early on, Joe Bradley I showed very early on. Yeah, I showed all those guys from the beginning. So from the very beginning, I kind of got a lot of attention from particularly New York, and then it kind of went over the ocean to London, and it kind of went from there. And I moved San Francisco very quickly to Los Angeles. That was in May 2003. And then in September 2005, I opened my first space in Berlin.
What came first? The popular contemporary art that we have today, or the Javier Perez?
Oh, okay.
Because you kind of, you made all of these guys. What did come first?
Gosh, that's a tough question. I mean, I was very involved in what happened in the early to mid 2000s, which has continued to sort of become what it is now. And we've also seen the influence of some of these guys. So, I mean, it's still happening. So for me, it's a little bit odd to sort of, I haven't reflected on it so much, but there is always a continuum, When you look at people like, say, Dan Colin, he's very much referencing all the Abex artists from New York from the 50s, God, Wallace Berman, and, even Dada and all the early collage artists from Europe. And, of course, his family collected Rauschenbergs and that kind of stuff. So he was exposed to these things. So there is always a bit of a connection, and I think part of what was interesting about when we were all coming up is that we didn't give a shit. We were really interested in each other as people.
Right.
We just went for it without really holding back, and I think it carried on into the art and into sort of our public lives,
So what brought you to Berlin if you started your gallery in San Francisco?
I always had an intention of having a gallery in Europe. I've spent most of my life straddling California and Europe. In 2004, I took a serious trip to Berlin with a Danish artist called Christina Ropsdorff, and I just fell in love with it. The scene was so incredible, the spaces were incredible, it just seemed like there was a lot of opportunities. And LA, Berlin, just for some reason, in my mind, it made sense. San Francisco's already closed, I was in Los Angeles. Now, looking back, it probably didn't, but it ended up working out.
Right, you made it make sense.
I made it make sense, yeah.
There you have it. Everyone should come see Javier Perez at Perez Projects booth at NADA in Miami.
Thanks a lot, Natalie.
Looking forward to seeing you
more.
Of
course.
That's a wrap.